Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Speaking of Zane, Memorial Day Edition 2021. Yep, it's May 31st, heading into June. It's hard to believe. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you here on a rescheduled, or well, not really rescheduled, but well, I guess it was rescheduled. We're normally Sunday night. Obviously, we've been doing it Sunday night for 146 weeks. But I got to thinking yesterday. People were out and about, and I didn't want people to feel rushed to get home yesterday, and so I thought, well, geez, just let's do it on Monday night, like we've done several times, and move it a half hour later. Let everybody get plenty of opportunity to have the family and friend activities and all of that, and hopefully that will work out well for us. Good to have everybody in here for sure for the special Memorial Day edition of Speaking of Zane. We have had a busy week here at the McDonald farm, that's for sure. Let's see, what did we do this week? I ran down to Savannah actually. I remember last week I was a little bit undecided about exactly how that was going to play out, but I knew that I wanted to get down there and at least be a part in some way of the flags for the fallen activities at the National Museum of the Mighty Eighth Air Force. And I have this just a personal affinity for the museum there. I've been a volunteer with the museum for 11 years now, working on the beautiful B-17 we have there. And I've made some great friends and lifelong friends working at the museum. And remember, we had Jane on few weeks ago telling us about the events that were going to occur. And basically, I got down there on Monday evening, and bright and early Tuesday, went over to the museum, and there were already volunteers well underway, placing 26,000 flags. These are the 48 star American flags. So, of course, during World War II, Alaska and Hawaii were not yet states. So the plan was, and I can tell I'm losing my voice already for some reason, but the plan was to place 26,000 flags there, one flag for each man who was lost in the 8th Air Force during World War II in the skies over Europe. 26,000. That's more than all of the Marines that were killed in World War II, believe it or not. But anyway, it was just a beautiful day. I spent the whole day there Tuesday. Got to see Jerry and Jane and meet some new friends and help place some flags there on the grounds. Got a lot of good pictures. Got a little bit of drone footage there that I posted on the Speaking of Zane group or on my personal page. I don't remember which. My drone is acting up. It's not. I'm having trouble keeping it calibrated, so I didn't get the best footage, but I'm going to play around with the drone maybe this weekend and see if I can get it calibrated properly. It keeps trying to get away from me. But I did get some aerial footage there, and it was a great day. And hit the road mid-afternoon Tuesday and drove back home to Atlanta. And but that was a great time. I wouldn't have missed it. And on the way down there, I managed to stop at a veteran cemetery that I had not visited before that's new to our list. And I'll cover that one when we get to the Veteran Cemetery Challenge here in a minute. Let's see, what else happened? So got home Thursday. I mentioned that I was selected to be the host, the moderator of a company-wide Memorial Day lunch and learn that we did on Thursday, and it couldn't have gone off any better. We had probably between 70 and 80 people attending lunch and learn, mostly from our vets organization. Some of our leadership and executives were there as well, but basically what we did is had a member of each, a veteran from each branch of the service tell what Memorial Day means to them. And we had also had a military spouse and a Gold Star family member. And I think it was very well received, and I'm glad we did that. And then let's see. Well, as we talked about over the last 2 weeks, the flag placement did occur at most of the national cemeteries across the country. Certainly did at Georgia National, where Zane is, and they had two separate um, windows for placement. Friday, I think it was from noon to 3, and then Saturday from 9 to noon. So Lori and I went out there Saturday morning, got there right about 9, and we each placed 50 flags. They had a limit because they wanted to make sure that everybody that wanted to place flags had the opportunity to do so. And I think that's fine. As long as you have enough people to do it and to place all the flags, I think that's a great way to do it. Is you know, allow everyone an opportunity, and worked out. I think it worked out pretty well. The only thing I'm disappointed, I continue to be disappointed in, and it's not any fault of the local leadership of the cemetery or the advisory council, but they did hold a memorial ceremony, but they made it virtual. And I saw it today. I played it today. It's about 25 minutes long. But for some reason, the National Cemetery Administration still would not allow for the gathering of people for the ceremony. So they had some people there. They had some Patriot Riders. They had the National Guard. They had, some other people, but they did not advertise it for the public to be there. And they recorded it. And I mean, it was nice, but of course, it's not the same. So hopefully by next year, everything will be back to whatever normal is. But anyway, Lori and I had a good time out there. We met a couple who were fellow SAC warriors, a little bit older than us, maybe 10 years or so older than us, but they both served, man and wife, both served in Strategic Air Command. He had a SAC hat on, so we hit it off, got a picture with him, and had a good time there. And then we left there, I don't know, maybe 10:30 or so, and drove over from Canton over to Rome, Georgia, which is to the west of Canton, maybe 50-minute drive or so. And our destination was to a little fly-in air show at the Rome airport. And on the way there, we stopped for lunch at a place that I've been meaning to eat and haven't had a chance to yet. So we did that. A place called Sam's Barbecue. And it's an interesting place. It's on the outside of the building. It's got two Gulfstream airplanes sort of embedded into the restaurant itself. Go look at the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and you'll see the pictures. But very, aviation themed, and on the inside, veteran themed, and just a really cool place to grab a hamburger. And so we had a good time there. And then went over to the air show, and really wasn't a full-blown air show. It was more of a fly-in. They had the B-17 called Texas Raiders, one of the less than 10 B-17s that's still airworthy. And it was in town along with a couple of other planes that fly along with it. And then there's some other aircraft there at the Rome airport that do some local events and activities, and they did that as well. And we stayed out there for a few hours and until the B-17 took off. But that was a good time. I thought so anyway. So because of the B-17 called the Texas Raiders, which belongs to the Commemorative Air Force, that is the hat of the week. Texas Raiders, the hat of the week. Lori was like, well, they have two hats over there. Which one do you want? And I'm like, do I have to choose? So she came back with, I've got the other one over there. She came back with both of them for me. So, and a t-shirt. So I made out pretty well there at the air show in Rome, Georgia, which is about an hour drive, I guess, from the house, not too far away. So that was our Saturday. Basically, we had a pretty full Saturday, and a good time was had by all. All right, well, let me give some shout outs here. I have neglected everybody. Let's see. Katie is here. Let's see. Lori, Katie, Jim Miller, Steve Shirley, Daryl's there. Hey, Daryl. And Ken is there. All right, Matt, I got you. Awesome. Well, good. Yeah, Lori's right. Lori's putting a little something in the chat there. I'll throw it up on the screen. But yeah, there were a lot of young people there. There were well, let's see. First at the cemetery, there were some scouts there, um, and then at the air show, there were some sea cadets. There were some Civil Air Patrol, and maybe another group. There was at least three different groups of young people, and it was Lori's right. It was good to see that interest for sure. Somebody's got to carry on the interest in aviation after us old guys are all gone. But I had a good time. And speaking of Steve Shirley, Steve, um, you may have seen. The rest of you may have seen. I posted some things. Steve has a friend who's got three relatives that are buried there at Georgia National Cemetery, two that are right across the street from him. So I made a point of getting a picture there, and I've since befriended Steve's coworker there on Facebook, so I could share the pictures with him, so he could share them with his mom and his sister. And anyway, it worked out. That worked out great to be able to do that. And let's see, Veteran Cemetery Challenge. I mentioned that I did. Um, Stop by a new cemetery on the way to Savannah, one that I've been meaning to go to, but we don't normally go this way. It's a little bit out of the way. It adds maybe 30 minutes to the drive, but there's a state veteran cemetery in Milledgeville. There's a couple of state veteran cemeteries. One's in Glenville. I've been to that one, and then this one's in Milledgeville. I had not been to this one. It's only been around less than 10 years, maybe 5 years. It's not an old cemetery, but anyway, I stopped by there on the way to Savannah. It only added 20 or 30 minutes to the trip, but finally got that one knocked out. And yeah, my pleasure, Steve. Yeah, your friend seems like a great guy there, and he really wanted to share those pics with his mom and his sister, so I think that's great. I love it. Um, So that was a good stop I had there in Milledgeville, very first one. So I need to add that one to the map. We don't have that one on the map yet, so it's always good to get a new one. I know that Daryl made a visit to Jefferson Barracks this week. Me to Milledgeville. Our good friend Amy. Amy, I didn't see you pipe in there. I'm not sure if you're here with us tonight, but Amy and her sister Barb went to help place flags at Omaha National. And thank you for doing that, Amy. And of course, Lori and I. And then our friend Roy Cupper out in Vegas, he went out to Southern Nevada Veteran Memorial Cemetery yesterday, paid a visit. And then my buddy Steve up in Nashville paid a visit to the cemetery in Murfreesboro, Tennessee today, and placed flowers and a flag at our friend Kelly's son's grave there. Specialist Corey Kowal, killed in Afghanistan in 2010. You may recall we've had Kelly on the show with us, and she's the founder of My Warrior's Place that you've heard us talk about a time or two, right, Lori? But so we had some pretty good visits, as you might imagine, for Memorial Day weekend. In fact, I counted 7 visits, with one of them being a new cemetery. So that takes our Veteran Cemetery Challenge count to 421 visits. to 133 different veteran cemeteries. So how about that? Good stuff. I like that we do that. I don't know. When I go to visit Zane. I it's a it's really weird to describe it, but when I meet people there or talk to people there, I kind of feel like I'm showing them around my house. Does that make sense? It's like I feel like that place belongs to us, and I hope every family feels like that. But I feel like I'm showing people, like when we had the carry carry the load folks out there last week before last. I felt like I was hosting them. It's really a weird feeling, and that's the way I felt with this couple that was out there Saturday. Is that weird? I don't know, but certainly different. But anyway, so that was a pretty good count that we had this week. Let's see. Let me look in the chat here. $50, Lori. Holy pancakes! Did you seriously? Did you seriously think 50? If you think 50, I'll add 50 to the list. That's pretty astronomical. If that's true, you're the all-time record holder. I don't know if. Well, I thanked a lot. I thanked a lot, but I don't know that I thanked 50. Let me see. Let's move on to the Thank a Vet challenge. Let's see. I thanked 2 Army vets at the Cracker Barrel in Savannah before going to the museum. That was fun. And then I thanked 5 at the museum. And then I mentioned Alan and Linda that we met at Georgia National. That was 2 more for me. And then Ken thanked 2 Air Force vets. Ken was at the, tell me if I get this wrong, Ken. Ken was at the Military Heritage Museum. Military Heritage Museum, I think it's called, down in Punta Gorda. I never heard of it, Ken. But if I'm ever down there again, I'll certainly visit it. But he thanked 2 Air Force vets there. And then, oh, I see, Lori. Okay, Lori. Lori. Okay, we'll count. Okay, Lori's right. She's right. Let me back up a minute. Lori's absolutely right. Sorry, Lori, for doubting you, but I think see, when you place a flag at the headstone of a veteran, you place the flag, you snap to attention, you salute, and you say the person's name. Remember the whole say their name thing, and so that's what Lori's talking about. Okay, so we each placed 50 flags, so we did say thank you to 50. But I think we'll stick. I think we'll stick with the living veterans, the ones that could acknowledge our thank you for our count anyway. But you're right, Lori. That's a good point. I hadn't really even thought of that, but it is special when you go out there and you place a flag, you step back, you render a salute, and you say their name. And remember how we always say a person dies twice. Once when they take their last breath, and then again if their name's no longer spoken, and we're out there speaking their names. And I don't know. It's just a blessing to be able to do that. But thank you, Lori, for that, for elaborating on that. And let's see. Ken thanked 2 at the Military Heritage Museum. So Ken, give a little summary of that museum in the chat, would you? What's the theme of that museum? I'm curious now, because I just keep adding museums to my museum list, and I'm afraid I'm never going to get around to making it to all of them. But and then Ken was out with his wife, and I guess his mother-in-law, your mother-in-law, Ken, and thanked another Army vet. So the ones I have, Daryl just added one there. So let me add Daryl fellow Air Force vet. So that's going to increase our count by 1. So let me manipulate our numbers here before I give you the grand total. I think my Aunt Mary's in there. Hey, Aunt Mary. She's probably about the only one that'll say, hey, Tommy. Remember we had that discussion. My middle name's Thomas. All my relatives called me Tommy. Let's see. We had 12 new ones this week. So that takes our count to, okay, Lori, thank, 2 more. So let me get these thanked to Army. Okay, good. So that'll take our count to, that's okay, we're getting this done right here on the fly. We'll have 14, I'll add 2 more. So that takes our total count for the week to 14, and our total count overall to 825. I'm predicting that, ooh, this would be a bold prediction right here. By the end of the summer, we'll be at 1,000 by the end of the summer. All right, thank you for those 2, Lori. There's Andrew Fresquez, one of Zane's battle buds. Good to have you in there. Ken says that this museum that he went to covers, well, I'll show it, you can read it for yourself. Covers all wars from civil to current and tries to emphasize on those from Florida who served. Okay, very well. Good. I'm a museum nut. Lori will tell you, I'll go see any kind of museum, especially if it's military or any sort of historical reason. But it's good stuff. I'll tell you, Lori and I got an absolute treat this morning, and if you've been on Facebook at all today, you will have seen that one of Zane's battle buddies, Todd Wilkes, shared a video clip of Zane. First time that either one of us have ever seen it, and it was a video of Zane playing guitar. And I was not prepared to see that first thing this morning, and I bawled like a baby. And hello, Jane. My buddy Jane is there from down in Savannah. Jane, I tell you, we were just talking about my visit down there. What I didn't say was that Jane was the coordinator, really, of that event, and she knocked it out of the park. It was a week-long activity that doesn't really end till tomorrow, when all the flags come up. And so I know if you're in Savannah watching and you want to go do something worthwhile, go down to the Mighty 8th Air Force Museum and help pick up those flags, and they can get them boxed up and put away for next year. But Jane, I was telling the team about my visit down there, and what a great honor it was just to be a small part for one day. And I know there were activities every single day, from Tuesday flag placement right on through to today, and then again tomorrow with the pickup. But Jane orchestrated all of the activities that occurred along the way, and I've been able to watch many of those activities on live stream on Facebook, and I'm glad they did that. But Thursday's activities with the opening ceremony and everything, the highlight was a flyby by a B-52 bomber from the current home of the 8th Air Force at Barksdale Air Force Base. But it was a great event that I know that Janie is ready to take a sigh of relief and take a little break. And that's anybody that's ever orchestrated anything or put together an activity or event that has a lot of moving parts, you know the stress of it, but the culmination and the execution of pulling it off is the reward. But Janie, it was great to see you too. Let's see. So anyway, we woke up to this video of Zane and that Todd found, And when we see something of Zane's that we have never seen, whether it's a picture, a post, in this case, a video, I mean, it was like opening a Christmas present. I mean, the feeling of watching your son, seeing something of his or seeing him is just an amazing thrill. And I wonder how many more things like that are out there, but I can't thank Wilkes enough for sending that along. And as I listened to it, I looked at it. It had to be in the barracks at Fort Stewart, and it had to be before they went to Iraq. And also in the video was Sam Hall and and I forget who else was in there. But anyway, I was listening to the song, and I kind of there's a riff in it that repeats that I kind of recognized, and I'm like, man, I've heard him play that before. And it turns out that it's it's one of those. You think it was after Matt? I don't know. Maybe it was. Take a look again. Maybe it was after. But he didn't spend much time in the barracks after. Um, yeah, I'll have to analyze that a little closer. Ask Wilksy, but that song, they ended up recording. Him and Sam recorded that song while in Iraq, and that's why I recognize parts of it. And turns out that um, I don't know the song, and I don't know where they got it from, and all I know is Sam sings in the song, and then somewhere along the way somebody called the song "Screaming." That's the name of the song, "Screaming," and I put I put it to a picture of Zane and posted it on YouTube. So I pulled it right up. I've got it. Anybody can watch it. But the song, they matured the song. That's why I thought the little rendition he did in the video we saw this morning that we had never seen, it eventually morphed into what they recorded while they were in Iraq. And they called it "Screaming." And Sam is singing in it. And anyway, just a treasure. I tell you that I can't tell you the feeling that you get. Maybe you folks have had that feeling but it's just amazing. I don't know. Yeah, Lori, I don't know if it's Sam. If Sam wrote the lyrics, I don't know if they made the song up. I don't know if that's a derivation of something else Zane knew, or I wish I knew the story behind the song, and maybe we won't unless we can get a hold of Sam Hall. I think he lives out in Arizona. But anyway, just that made our day today, at least for me. And then Lori, when Lori saw it, I could tell, she was equally as excited as I was to see that. But just amazing to see his face, and incredible. Matt, did you watch it? And who was that walked by and went to bed while Zane was playing? I didn't recognize him. Um, anyway, okay, let's see. What else have I got? Oh, wow. We did have one tragedy and one loss this week. Zach Zach Meyer. Okay, Zach Meyer. Okay, not Matt Myers, but Zach Meyer. Okay. Um, anyway, Ken, tell me if I get any of this wrong, but we lost an American contractor pilot who was flying for um, one of the one of the corporations that provides adversary planes for the aggressor squadron at Nellis Air Force Base. I forget the name of the company, but he was flying a Mirage F1, and the Mirage crashed. I think it was back on Tuesday or so, Ken. And when I went back to research today, Ken, I did not see if, certainly by now they've released the pilot's name, but I could not find it. But it's sad. Yeah, I was going to say, Ken, it's likely he was a prior military, and sounds like he was an academy grad. So condolences to his family. Yep, working as a contractor. And that's the only one I saw picked out this week. But all right, well, let me share. We're going to wrap it up here, and I just want to pay tribute to some of those that we've lost. This is an inclusive list of every one of us here, but this is my list, and it's the people I was thinking of today and yesterday, and I just want to run through their names here real quick, and I'll share my screen here. This is Senior Airman Michael Burris. Michael is the son of a friend of our family in my dad's hometown of Fitzgerald, Georgia. Michael Burris was an EOD tech, and he was killed in Afghanistan in 2010. And Michael had already been injured once on a previous tour in Afghanistan. Obviously was a recipient of Purple Heart already. And his dad knows my dad and my Aunt Mary, and just his dad, John Burris, just a great guy, and I've enjoyed getting to know him. But Michael graduated from college down in Fitzgerald, Georgia, and sad when we lost him. He's buried at Andersonville National Cemetery, which is down in South Georgia. I've had the occasion to swing by there and pay my respects to Airman Burris. And then this is our friend Kelly's son, Corey. Corey was killed in Afghanistan in 2009. And Corey is buried in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And interesting story, my friend Steve up in Tennessee, co-worker, friend of mine, Army veteran. Last year, we knew Kelly wouldn't be able to get up there to see her son Corey. She lives in Florida, of course. So Steve and his wife went out and made sure, because of COVID and everything, they weren't having the flag ceremony, but Steve and his wife went out there last year and placed some flowers and flags there at Corey's headstone. In fact, here's a picture of that. Well, I get about midway through today, and I get a text from Steve, and Steve said, tell your friend in Florida that we went by and saw her son today. So just great to have good friends that'll do that. There's my Aunt Cindy in here tonight. Hey, Aunt Cindy. And then two men in the third ID in Zane and Matt and Andrew's unit were killed in 2007. Steve Butcher and Daniel Cagle in Iraq, Ramadi, I believe, right, guys? And then Stephen Alexander is another that was in their unit that passed away after returning. He was wounded right, Matt, and then he ended up passing away in, I think, 2011. And this is a picture I took of him, of his headstone at Beaufort National Cemetery in Beaufort, South Carolina. And that's Alexander on the left, and then that's Matt Meyer on the right, I think. Right, Matt? And Matt was one of those, like Zane, who passed after returning, unfortunately, in, gosh, when was that? I think 2018. We lost Matt, and here's Alexander and Meyer together there. And then just last year, we found out that we lost Jonathan Doc Jordan there on the left with Zane. I forget where he was living, but that was just last year. So and then on to some of those connected with me. John Campisi, a member of my squadron, 55th OMS at Offutt Air Force Base. He had gone over for Desert Shield ahead of all the rest of us that were waiting to go. And he tragically was killed in Saudi Arabia. He was the very first U.S. service member killed in that first Persian Gulf activity, so Desert Shield. John Campisi, and I just read recently that his wife, his widow, had a tragedy recently with the flooding in Omaha in 2019. Flooded out their basement, and a bunch of his stuff was trapped down in the mud. It's just a sad story, but John Campisi from the 55th OMS at Offutt Air Force Base. And then a young man that several of us on Speaking of Zane served with, Amy and Steve and Jim and others on here that join occasionally. This is Master Sergeant Michael Heiser. We all served with Mike at RAF Mildenhall. He was a communications operator, and we flew together on the Sinkier Airborne Command Post, spent a lot of time in the Azores together. Just a good guy, great operator, and unfortunately in 1996 he happened to be TDY to Saudi Arabia and was in the Khobar Towers when the terrorist bombing occurred there, and unfortunately he was killed along with, what is it, guys, another 15 or 16 airmen, something like that. But it was several years before I knew that he had been killed. But this is a picture I took at Arlington, where he's buried in Section 60 a couple years ago when I was up there. Mike Heiser. And then again, several of us served alongside this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson, who was a looking glass pilot during the time frame that many of us were there. I think he was there from 80 maybe 88 to 90, 91, something like that. And then he went on to fly tankers, and then eventually, I think in 96, got accepted into the astronaut corps. And of course, Lieutenant Colonel Anderson was one of the crew members aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia that disintegrated on re-entry over Texas in, I believe it was 2003. And on my same visit to Arlington, I swung by there and paid my respects to him. Him and the other astronauts on board, most of them, the ones that are buried in Arlington, are all in the same general area, and they're not too far away from the Tomb of the Unknown. So where you enter to go to the Tomb of the Unknown, they're in the little section right outside there. Okay, so wow, Memorial Day. What do you say? It's a tough holiday. It's one of those where people are glad for a long weekend. People are glad to get outside. The weather's usually turning nice, and people are going to the pools are open. I know that all the pools in our neighborhood just opened this week. Um, People are grilling and barbecuing and just having a good time, and that's great. I don't begrudge anybody that. I'm not one of those guys that gets upset about, you know, about any of that. You just hope, and it's up to us, honestly, to set the example and make sure that everybody knows that we can do all of those things because of these men and others that I just cited. That's the main reason, obviously. And I don't get hung up on the whole, you know, Veterans Day, Armed Forces Day, Memorial Day. You wish that everybody knew the difference. Um, but it's, I'm not getting upset at anybody for it. I had a lady I work with on Friday said, "Guy, I just wanted to tell you Happy Memorial Day. I always want to make sure to remember those who served." And I'm like, "Gosh, I didn't correct her. I just shook my head, and it's like, well, it's not really for me. It's for Colonel Anderson and Sergeant Heiser and Butcher and Cagle, and that's who you ought to be thanking." But you you just smile and you just hope that eventually people realize the true meaning, and we do anyway. So that's all that matters, I guess. But anyway, I'm looking in the chat here to see if there's any last minute shout outs. I know you all have people that you have lost. I know Ken has lost college classmate, and Steve and others have lost members and AWACS crashes and different things. I know that, and they all are worthy of our honor, and I appreciate every one of them. But what do we got going this coming week? Well, my new program at work kicks off tomorrow, so I'm a little troubled that my voice is going because I'm going to have to talk a lot tomorrow to these 7 new engineers or engineer wannabes that I just hired. So I don't know what I'm going to have to drink a little Gatorade and see if it clears up. But and then Saturday, I'll be back out at Georgia National because somebody's got to pick the flags up. So they're having the flag pickup for Georgia National on Saturday morning. So I suppose I'll run out there, and if Lori wants to come along, she's certainly welcome. And we'll pick up flags out there on Saturday. Okay, well, if I missed any shout outs there in the chat, I apologize, but certainly is good to have everybody in here tonight, and it's good that you all will pause for a minute every Sunday or Monday night and join us to hear what I have to say about various matters, and I sure appreciate you guys doing that and being so flexible in the times that we move it to Monday. There's Brenda Lusk up in Michigan. Brenda, hope your move and everything is going well. And Matt, good luck on your test tomorrow. I'm sure you will do just fine. Doc was in Cleveland. Okay, I'm just catching up with some of the chat here, but all right, everybody. Well, I certainly appreciate you guys joining. I'm going to close it out here with, in honor of those we've lost in service and the ones that we lost after they returned, we'll close it out with playing of taps. And we'll see everybody next week for the next edition of Speaking of Zane. God bless.